At Maverick Public Relations, growing your influence is their specialty. MPR works with remarkable companies in the cannabis industry to deliver exceptional results. Experience big agency expertise and outstanding client service delivered by seasoned and knowledgeable experts. Connect with Maverick PR today and move your company to the next level. Visit them at www.themaverickpr.com. That's themaverickpr.com.
Sprout growing operation. I was delivering wheatgrass, sunflower sprouts, and pea sprouts to 40, 50 cancer patients a week. And I've been going berserk on this. I lost all my weight, all the skin issues healed up, my energy's back, no acid reflux, rectal bleeding stopped. It's never been. In the last 11 years, I've been on a mission to see what else I didn't know. How healthy can I get? How young can I look? And then now, how can I share it and create a system and products and stuff to help other people do the same?
Welcome to the Miracle Plant Podcast, the show that inspires, promotes, and gives you a daily dose of inspiration from the people who have used cannabis to change their lives in extraordinary ways. Here's your host, Justin Benton.
Welcome back to the Miracle Plant Podcast, where we discuss this miracle plant with so many names and how it's helping people in so many extraordinary ways. Well, today we have an awesome guest on to join us to talk about their story, and we have just very, very similar journeys, but I don't want to steal any thunder from him. His name is Tim James. He's a health hero. He's got an incredible story of finding food as our medicine, as we talk so much about here and our miracle journey. So, Tim, welcome to the Miracle Plant Podcast. How you doing?
I'm doing awesome, guys. I really appreciate you guys having me on to share my story. That's awesome. I really appreciate it.
Well, you know, I know we experienced a few technical difficulties getting you on here on Clubhouse, but hey, that's technology, a little ingenuity and perseverance, and we made it happen. So we're happy that you're here and happy to share your story. And speaking of which, let's hear your story of how you got into your line of work.
Absolutely. So just tell a little bit about my backstory. I grew up over in Eastern Oregon, which is pretty much like Montana. It's Redneckville. It was like growing up in the 50s. I had a good time with that. I grew up hunting and fishing and you know, hunting deer and elk and chukars and pheasants and fishing for trout and steelhead and all these things. And I was outdoors a lot. I actually put myself through college cutting firewood. We had a big garden. We raised Hereford cattle and grass hay and alfalfa hay. And, you know, we're just always goofing around outside. And I was really into nature, loved it. And I played baseball at a high level for 30 years. So I was a competitive athlete and always trying to find the next best thing so I could hit the ball farther, throw faster, that kind of stuff. And so I was down to trying anything. So I was really into health, but I didn't know what I was doing because I was going along with what society was trying to tell me what to do. And it kind of worked when I was younger and more fit. But then as by age 37, I was a financial advisor. I had my wife, kids, mortgage, and run around coaching, football and basketball and baseball and that kind of stuff. And running 3 offices as an advisor, there was a lot of stress there. My health had waned, to say the least. I eventually wasn't in the gym anymore. Only exercise I was getting was walking the dogs. I gained 42 pounds. I was dragging myself out of bed in the morning and through the day, stimulating myself with coffee and sugary stuff. And my knee started getting eczema on it, cracking and bleeding, and then that spread to my elbows. So they were bleeding and sticking on my shirts. And as an financial advisor, I couldn't wear white shirts anymore because they would stain them. So I had to wear dark shirts. It just kept getting worse. Then I got acid reflux really bad. I think it comes in Rolaids 24/7. I started like literally pooping rocks, and then blood started coming out. So for 2.5 years, I bled rectally. Every time I went to the bathroom. That's why you guys can't see me, but my shirt says "Love when you poop," because it was a very painful process for me, and I didn't look forward to it. So my world was kind of imploding. I had another skin issue on my shoulder, and then on a vacation in Peru with my wife and her dad, who was a medical doctor who had never taken a vacation in 30 years. We were just south of Ecuador in Tumbes on a fishing trip at this, on the sea, and I was doubled over in pain and And they were like, "Oh, you got motion sickness." I'm like, "No, I fish all the time. I'm out in the sea. It's like I never get sick with something else." And he diagnosed me, and he's like, "We need to get you to a hospital." And we're in the middle of nowhere. I missed the one plane flight out of there by 30 minutes, and we rented a van, and then they drove me 6 hours down this bumpy ass road on the coastline of Peru down to this town called Piora. And I got thrown onto an examination table in a third world country, and with a big lamp above me with tons of bugs flying around in it in the hospital. So I'm like, this ain't good. I can't even use my darn insurance that I paid into my whole life. They're talking Spanish a million miles an hour, and he convinced them to dope me up, put me on a commercial plane flight, and he had his surgery team ready for me in Lima. I should have went right into surgery right there. I could have died. But it all worked out. Thank God for the surgeons. They saved my life, and that's where Western medicine shines. It was actually born out of wartime and crisis care, so they're really good at patching people up when there's a crisis. But the long-term palliative, disease care is just a broken system, obviously. Look around. So I come back home. What I learned from that experience, though, that was my poor health doesn't affect just me. It affects everybody else around me, because I'd ruined that vacation for my wife and her dad. And we planned that out and spent thousands of dollars. I mean, it was a big deal for us, and just ruined it, And I felt bad because he ended up back in the hospital, like on his vacation, you know what I mean, taking care of me. So I also learned something else, is that I don't ever want to go in the freaking hospital again, because it's scary. You're completely out of control. Again, I love the doctors for what they did for me, but I just don't want to go back. I don't know anybody that would like to spend a weekend or a couple weeks in there getting surgery. So if we can avoid that, let's do it. But I came back. I still didn't know what I was doing. And then a buddy of mine got diagnosed with chronic lymphocytic leukemia, which is supposedly at the time incurable blood cancer, back in 2010. And he asked me to go with him to the Hippocrates Health Institute in West Palm Beach, Florida, which is this natural detox nutrition clinic. It's kind of like an educational school too, because they teach you 40 hours of, how the body works, and, all this stuff, and where all this toxic pollution is, and how to clean up your gut and your cells, and heal yourself. And I went with him, just to support him. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I would have never went to a place like that on my own, but, with the buddy, proposing to die, and my experience with cancer was you die. I mean, my aunt died of brain cancer, skin and lung cancer. My grandma died of brain cancer. And then I just lost a buddy of mine on my baseball team, Kalei Mahoy, to stomach cancer after chemo and surgery and radiation, all that stuff. And he looked, on his deathbed, he lost about 80 pounds, and he looked like somebody out of Auschwitz. So that was very hard on our team, even more harder on his 3 little boys that he left behind, which was just a tragic deal. And all of us baseball players, big tough guys, were crying our face off in the church and doing a fundraiser for him because he didn't have insurance. So that was my experience with cancer. Was you just don't, you don't make it. And so I went with my friend just to spend some more time with him, and but I didn't have any knowledge of this kind of stuff, how it worked and nothing. And when we got there, man, things changed. Oh man, we learned so much. Day one, my acid reflux was gone. I kind of went through the detox symptoms. I had night sweats. I was irritable. I had a metallic taste coming out of my tongue as we were changing our environment, what we eat and how we think, and they were cleaning us up and doing these therapies. And there was, I'll never forget this class called Internal Awareness, where this doctor came out, and he was really healthy. He looked like he was 40 and he just turned 50. And he was explaining to us that the average person has about 6 to 12 pounds of impacted fecal material in the colon. And then if we ever want to be healthy, we have to get that stuff out of there. I didn't want to do what he proposed, which was a colon hydrotherapy session, or colonic. Have you guys heard of that before?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, well, for the listeners that haven't, because I hadn't, you basically sit on a tube rectally, and water goes in and out of your colon for an hour, and it cleans your colon gently. So I elbowed Charles and said, "Hey, look, dude, I came here to help you, but I'm not doing that. It's just not going to happen." So, but the doctor was smart, and he showed us 4 virtual colonoscopies, 3 of unhealthy people and 1 of somebody that was really healthy on this lifestyle for a few years. And man, it was a shocker. So the first one was a woman that was 24 years old that had Hashimoto's, which is a thyroid disorder, and thrush, which is a yeast infection. And inside of her colon, it was all yellow and white and nasty looking. And then they went to a 65-year-old male with colon cancer and parasites. And it was black like tar and white worms crawling around. And the doctor looked at all of us. He said, just so you guys know, easily over 50% of you have parasites in your body. This is not a third world affair. So get over it. And you will experience this week as these things start exiting the body, as we change the internal terrain for you. And I'm just like, what? And so I'm kind of freaked out. And he said all those parasites, and he goes, it's not just the tapeworms and the hookworms and the pinworms that you'll see coming out of your stools, which they do, you know, the big long tapeworms, and then there's these pinworms, I think they're called, and they make your stools like white and fuzzy as they're coming out in the die-off, as they're trying to find a more hospitable place to live because you're changing the terrain on them. And there's also microscopic ones, he said, and all of them are eating your food and drinking your drink and then urinating and defecating in you and creating more acid and laying thousands of eggs. So now I'm like, what? I'm freaked out. So I sign up for colon hydrotherapy because I want to push that stuff out of there. And then they showed like a 45-year-old female with, you know, breast cancer, and she had colitis or Crohn's. Her gut was jacked up. And inside of her colon, black, nasty, weird. And then they went to the healthy person's colon. Yeah, there was some brown waste matter in there because of the waste removal system, but the lining of the colon was like pink and clean, and you could see the blood vessels. My point was is that the internal terrain of the healthy individual was completely different than the terrain of those sick ones, the people that had poor energy and all these health issues. And that's when the light bulb went off for me. I'm like, oh my God, it's an inside game. It's an inside job. It's just like having a tractor. It's not running right. The engine's been all gummed up and nobody's maintenance the sucker for a long time. We got to take it into the shop and flush out the engine, flush out the transmission fluid, and put in good fuel and spark plugs and fuel filters and do that kind of stuff, and then learn how to maintenance that sucker. And that's what we learned for the human body at that institute. And you know, we woke up a couple days later and I felt like a new person. I looked at Charles and I said, dude, do you feel as good as I do? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, I can't believe it, but you're gonna make it. You're gonna heal. I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna give up all my money for bacon, and we're gonna do this deal. We're gonna juice, and you're gonna live. And he just wanted to see his son graduate high school and go to father-son weekend at Oregon State University. They had that planned out, and he's just like, Tim, I want to live. And he was, you know, like a deer in the headlights, pretty scared. And I went there to support him, and we came back. We followed the program, and within 60 days, I dropped all the weight. Within 90 days, Charles had actually dropped 60 pounds. His testosterone went up 100 points. His white blood cell count started dropping. They were up in like 36,000, which is, you know, it's supposed to be between like 4 and 10,000. And after 2 weeks at the institute, they were like 24. And then every 6 months, they just kept dropping 18, 16, 15. And in 2.5 years, he was cancer-free right in front of my face. And I started teaching classes about this. My garage got turned into a sprout growing operation. I was delivering wheatgrass, sunflower sprouts, and pea sprouts to 40, 50 cancer patients a week. And I've been going berserk on this. I lost all my weight. All the skin issues healed up. My energy's back. No acid reflux. Rectal bleeding stopped. It's never been. In the last 11 years, I've been on a mission to see what else I didn't know. How healthy can I get? How young can I look? And then now how can I share it and create a system and products and stuff to help other people do the same.
Are you ready for liftoff? Don't miss Canada's #1 cannabis conference and trade show, Lift & Co. Expo, May 12th through the 15th at the Metro Toronto Convention Center. Level up your industry intel at Lift & Co.'s business conference, plus connect with movers and shakers from across the cannabis industry and preview new products and services from 250 exhibitors. Plus, everyone loves Lift & Co. Expo prizes, live music, and more. For tickets, visit liftexpo.ca. That's liftexpo.ca.
Well, that's incredible. What an amazing journey. And it's there was a lot of things that you said in there that definitely resonated with me. One of the first things is Oregon State. There was an incredible research that came out of there. We talk about on here quite a bit about CBDA and preventing COVID. But the other thing is that we had Dr. William Courtney on, who is the leading researcher in raw cannabis hemp juice, and he used it for cancer. And actually, we've had famous Amos on from the Juiced Up Ninja, who's got a hemp juice bar in San Antonio made of hemp. And he is doing microgreens from 10 to 14 days old of hemp, and is actually have a special variety and breed that they're growing that has this explosive amounts of nutrients and phytocannabinoids and everything. It's just this magic time period on the sprouts from day 10 to day 14. So definitely there's a lot of synergy and a lot of things that we can do to help people. We've seen.
Well, you guys are going to definitely have to hook me up with that strain because I want it right now. I want to start sprouting it. I sprout everything. Wheatgrass, sunflower, pea sprouts, buckwheat lettuce, alfalfa sprouts, radish sprouts, all that stuff. Fenugreek, one of my favorites. We do flax water. Everything's
Yeah.
sprouted over here. Living foods. It's a whole nother level of nutrition. It's all that
Yep.
biophotons that you get. We can talk
Yep.
about that. I mean, but I'm excited about the hemp juice. I've known about it. I wanted to do it. I'm just always looking for things that'll boost my health, and then I can share it with other people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I'm sure
Yeah,
my mom had something to say. Watch out. Here she comes.
I'm not even going to go sciencey today. No, I'm just going to say there's the unique juicing, the CBDA, that level is, as you know, we have an endocannabinoid system and specific receptors. So to me, of every plant out there, it's definitely the most powerful and the most attuned to our body. And then the CBD goes to every cell and every receptor. So if you get that juice, that's obviously the most powerful way to take it. So no, that sounds great. And yeah, I understand your journey. I've been through actually nothing quite as dramatic as being in Peru, but I also do a lot of. I'm a health coach also, and so I work with a lot of people with dramatic things. But I had that whole IBD/ thing for years, and it was just totally because I switched my diet to an unhealthy diet. I've been healthy my whole life, and then as soon as I stopped, then I was fine within 3 months with no symptoms. So it's very clear that our diet, and especially the American diet, there's just nothing I can really go and buy at a restaurant that I feel is healthy, unless you find the
Yeah.
one organic vegan restaurant in your neighborhood. So yeah, the food is huge. And I noticed just looking over your website and things about the pre and probiotics, which is a huge part of what I talk with when I work with people with health. And so no, it's amazing. And I think if you find the same solutions, which is like healthy diet, pre and probiotics, your water, juicing, all those things, we all kind of come to those same conclusions and need to be, but our society has not come to those conclusions. So very excited about what you do and very excited to hear your story.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I know that there's so much that, like I said, I'm glad that we were able to get connected and have you on, and I'm glad we worked through those technical difficulties. So you come all this journey. It's an amazing story, and you talked about having access to help other people who are inspired or want to learn more. How would they find out more about you, or do you have like a special offer for our audience that could help them have access to these products? And I think you even said there might be a discount and maybe even a free one included.
Yeah, so best way to find us is at chemicalfreebody.com. They can click the About page, read more about us. There's a little video guy put together on me after my little brother died, and he thought it would be a really good. My brother's death was actually what inspired me to finally get off my butt and get out of the financial service industry and do what I love, which is I'd rather tell people about sprouts and nutrition and living foods and juicing and detoxing, and because it's like I feel like I have a freaking do-over. It's like 37, falling apart. I can't even run around a track, and now I'm like, trail running 4 to 7 miles. I'll be 49 in a couple months. My 19-year-old son, who's in good shape, cannot keep up with me, and I really like that. So, because we did a race, and he's faster than me now, so at least I can outrun him on the hills, which is good. And so that's fun. But yeah, we have a lot of free information too. I have a podcast called The Health Hero Show. It's on all the major platforms, and I go deep on topics like intermittent fasting and improper food combining, which is something that when a lot of people start eating healthier, that they're eating the foods in the wrong combinations and causing fermentation and gut rot. So we teach that. It's a local class that I teach as well. And then I've interviewed some really cool people that have like really good strategies. I've had Dr. Elizabeth Plords on, who has a really good book on hysterectomies and over removal and hormone replacement therapy, just stuff like that. Just random stuff. Like I talk about sprouting and juicing, and we had a guy on about stem cells just recently. And so anyway, there's a lot of free information over there. We do have products that are all raw, vegan, 100% plant-based, no synthetics, no binders. They're super concentrated juice extracts and herbs to help people detox. If they want to get those, they can just click on the product tab. And then I would suggest they go down to the savings bundles. That's where you can get a discount. You can get like a little jumpstart bundle if you want to start, stick your toes in the water, go all in. I do what's called the Total Energy and Detox bundle every month on our turmeric product, or just pick something in between that fits their budget and what resonates with them. And then at checkout, if they put in the word Miracle Plant, they get an additional 5% discount. So they can get a double discount, and we have a double your money back guarantee on all of our products. And if something doesn't work for you, just call us up, get on the phone with the coach. We'll refund your money halfway, but we'll find a solution, even if it's another company, because our products are just part of our toolkit. We have a lot to offer in our coaching program. We have one-on-one coaching with our coaches, and then we also have a private group coaching community that I lead weekly. with the people in that community. So I really enjoy what I'm doing now. It's not work at all. I love working with people that are ready to change their health. It's very exciting, and I love seeing people get the results and get them getting the ahas and moving forward with their life and being a very good inspiration to their friends and family around them, and giving the friends and family around them permission slips for them to also have a better life. So it's kind of like a ripple effect, and I want to keep that ripple. I want to keep throwing those little pebbles in the pond and helping people.
Absolutely. Well, that's amazing. And it sounds like I need to hop on your shows too. If you got such a great podcast with interesting stories, I know that the hemp sprouts conversation going further down that
I'm
road sounds like a
totally
very
down for that. That's a
logical one.
great topic. I want to get the leaves immediately. I want to start growing and juicing them, and then have you on, and then talk about it with first person experience. So
Yeah,
definitely hook
perfect.
me up afterwards, guys, and I'll get on it lickety split.
Absolutely, yeah, and the hemp sprout things, and we're looking to do some more research on it too. I mean, we have our relationships in the hemp space and all that, but we definitely want to do real tangible, scientific. Here's what's in day 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Here's the chemical makeup and breakdown, and here's why there's such an amazing reaction with our human body, whether
Yeah,
it's
I can actually hook you
cannabinoids.
up with Dr. Shiva Ayadure. He has a system called Cytosolve that he built. That he from an engineering standpoint, biological engineering standpoint, he mapped out all the molecular pathways in the human body, so he can actually test what you're talking about in silico on the computer with trillions of calculations with the artificial intelligence, and it completely eliminates all animal testing. So to prove that it worked years ago, he took pancreatic cancer, which is probably the toughest one out there, right? And he modeled the existing drugs that they're using versus all pharmaceutical drugs. And he threw them all in there and ran trillions and trillions of combinations. And two drugs that had completely separate uses for different things, that combo proved to do way better than the current drugs that they had. So he wanted to use their own stuff against them and find out. And then they actually did a clinical trials on people, and what they found out was it was almost identical. It mapped out almost identical to what he mapped out on the computer. So he's literally stopped. He has a system that can stop. It's called an open science project with Cytosolve, and we don't need to test on animals anymore. And that's how the whole thing got started. But he's used food. He's worked with food companies like Juice Plus. They have like 100 and whatever 30 or something phytonutrients in their juice, and they've been doing clinical research for years, but they didn't know why it worked. Well, he helped them, and now there was actually 4 phytonutrients in there that was causing most of the success, but now they know exactly why it works. So that could be a good
That
place
name
for you
again?
guys.
What's his name?
It's called Cytosolve, and I can connect you with them. CYTOSOLVE, Cytosolve, and
I'd love to connect with him because we've had a real
Yeah.
difficulty with anybody funding like search on a raw plant and the raw CBDA. And
yeah, and you can. It's not as expensive as it would be in other places to get the research done. You go raise the money, give it to them. They do the research. You can actually you guys could be included on the paper, and because they want to get the results published as well. So
right.
And he knows how to do that, and he knows how to do the patenting process too, if that comes to be.
Sounds great. Yeah, make sure you leave that information because that's one of the huge issues we're having is getting research, especially of our products, just because universities want to do a single cell is easier for them to measure, and so they aren't interested in doing more complex things. So that sounds exciting.
Yeah, it is. It's very exciting.
Absolutely. Well, it sounds like we definitely need to connect, and we will. We'll get you some more information on those hemp sprouts, and send you some of our raw products too. It's all of our products are raw, whole plant, holistic, vegan, organic, just grown out of Mother Nature with some sun and some love. And it's amazing what plant-based diet and plant-based medicine. We are what we eat, as we always hear. And so excited to have you on the Miracle Plant Podcast. Here's a fun thing that we do at the end of every episode. I actually have to run because my son has a baseball game that I'm coaching for. And as irony would have it, what you were saying with your love of baseball, let alone my daughter just left for T-ball too. But at the end of every Miracle Plant podcast, we say heal the world, because that is our mission, to pay it forward for what this miracle plant in the raw form did to help our son. who was originally diagnosed with a severe neurological ailment of autism spectrum disorder, and now no longer qualifies for that diagnosis because of health, diet, nutrition, and lots of raw hemp. So at the end of the show, we say heal the world so others out there can hear it, feel it, and come find us that are looking for answers, that are out there last shred of hope. So on the count of three, everybody unmute your mics and let's say heal the world. 1, 2, 3.
Heal the
Heal the
world.
world.
Heal the
Woo!
world.
Okay.
All right. Thanks
Very
everybody
nice
for coming
meeting you,
on.
Tim. Yeah.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
coming on the Miracle Plant Podcast, Tim. And we will connect soon. And we will see everyone next week on the Miracle Plant Podcast. Take care, everybody.
Hi, I'm Gary, and I invite you to discover the Cannabis Podcast, a bi-weekly podcast focused on a Canadian's cannabis culture. I would be the Canadian, and my cannabis passion and culture has been building for 5 decades. I share that passion for this wonderful plant in every episode, through conversations with cannabis advocates and enthusiasts, stories about the ever-changing legal environment, and some hands-on testing of product in a segment I call Cultivar Corner. The Cannabis Podcast, a Canadian's cannabis culture, one toke at a time.